As of July 1st, 2010, state law requires that all businesses with 15 or more full-time employees utilize an employment verification system like EVerify. Before the law went into effect, the Salt Lake Chamber held a series of trainings from St. George to Logan to help our members understand and utilize this valuable new tool for employers. A recent survey of Chamber membership, in fact, showed nearly half feel they need additional training to be in compliance with the law. Joining us today, Tim Wheelwright. He's a partner at Durham, Jones, and Pinegar. Tim also chairs the Salt Lake Chamber Immigration Task Force, and we're happy to have you with us. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Thanks, Marty.
I think the first question we want to start with today is the State Department of Commerce. They're charged with getting the word out about the EVerify system or a similar system. Is business required to use EVerify and enroll with the state? There seems to be some confusion there.
Businesses are not required to enroll in EVerify and register with the state. Actually, the registration with the state is optional. However, they are required, if they have more than 15 employees, to enroll in EVerify, Social Security number verification system, or a similar comparable system.
So the law actually requires that businesses use an employment verification system, not necessarily EVerify. So why is EVerify kind of the leader in this? Why is that the direction everyone's being pushed?
Well, EVerify is the most well-known. It's the resource that the federal government is promoting the most through the Department of Homeland Security. Tremendous resources have been devoted to making sure the database is accurate and that there's a user interface that is friendly for business.
So the government seems to be favoring the EVerify system. That's the way they're promoting it. But how accurate is EVerify? That's, I think, the first question that anybody would have. Is the system accurate?
Well, it's not 100% accurate, but it is much better than it has been in the past. And as I said, a lot of attention has been devoted to trying to make it more accurate so that the information that is provided is more reliable, more helpful for business.
When you say not 100% accurate, does that mean it's 25% accurate, 75%? Do we have a number, ballpark, where we are?
Probably less than 2%.
Less than 2% inaccurate. So about 98% success rate with it. I think that's better than 50-50. That gives us a good indication. So what are the rules here? What are some of the things that employers should make sure they're doing once they've implemented EVerify? Are there any kind of pitfalls that an employer would want to be aware of as they implement the system?
Two things that employers need to be very careful about. First of all, they do not want to use EVerify until they've actually hired the individual. They cannot use EVerify as a screening tool in their hiring process. Second of all, they want to make sure that they do not re-verify their existing workforce. This can only be used for new hires.
So once someone has been hired, then it's there just as the next step to check their authorization to work. It's not as a screening tool, as you mentioned. I think that's an important point. How difficult is this to use? Are we talking about a lot of training going into using EVerify?
Well, there's an online tutorial that any user is required to pass. I believe it takes about 45 minutes to complete. It's a relatively simple process. It's not going to take a user a long time to get up to speed in how to use it. Then once you begin using EVerify, it's actually a very user-friendly interface, especially after some recent improvements that have just been implemented.
No one's being sent off to EVerify camp for a week or any type of convention.
That's right.
45 minutes tutorial seems doable. How about the cost? I think once we've determined that accuracy is there and that it needs to be implemented, as business owners are going to want to know, what is this going to cost me? Are there upfront costs? And maybe talk to me about some of the hidden costs that may be associated with it.
Okay. No upfront or direct costs for using EVerify. However, the employers are going to want to be aware of the indirect costs, which would be certainly the time for training. For each new hire, you're going to be adding probably 15 to 20 additional minutes to go through or complete the EVerify process.
So the benefit, I'm guessing, to, if you want to say society, is that now we're able to verify someone's work authorization before they actually are hired, or not before they're hired, but as they enter the workforce. But what are the benefits for a business using this? Is it just compliance with the law?
Well, certainly compliance is an important issue, but I think beyond that, any employer will tell you as they sit down and examine documents that are presented by new hires that there's a significant amount of guesswork as to whether that paperwork or those documents are valid or not. The primary benefit of EVerify is that the government is giving real-time, immediate feedback to the employer about whether that document is accurate or not, whether that particular individual is authorized to work or not. And that is a significant benefit for employers who really would prefer not to have to engage in that type of guesswork. Also, I think there's a certain amount of peace of mind that comes from having the government provide you with that feedback that this person is authorized to work. And in fact, the Department of Homeland Security has stated that if an employer uses EVerify in good faith, that it would be a significant factor in protecting them against any civil or criminal liability for employing someone without authorization.
Tim Wheelwright is a partner at Durham, Jones & Pinegar. He also chairs the Chamber's Immigration Task Force. Tim, thanks for joining us. For more information on the EVerify system and how you can implement it with your business, you can check that all out at slchamber.com.